Welcome to Crossroads Politics here on WTHR+. I'm Dustin Grove. This week, the national spotlight was here in the crossroads of America. The Trump administration chose central Indiana for a major announcement that could lead to some of the largest deregulations in U.S. history. Our Emily Longnecker was there.
Against the backdrop of one of the country's oldest truck manufacturers, an announcement from the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency about the regulations that limit the amount of greenhouse gas emissions trucks and cars can produce in the United States. Tuesday, EPA Administrator Lee Zeldin was in Indianapolis and announced a proposal to get rid of those standards.
As it relates to greenhouse gas emission standards on light duty, medium duty, and heavy duty, it doesn't reset anything. It eliminates everything.
The standards were put in place in 2009 when the EPA determined that carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gases endangered public health and contributed to global climate change. The regulations were part of something called the endangerment finding, a ruling that said that climate change was a threat to public health, leading to climate regulations under the Clean Air Act.
This proposed rule is a proposal to eliminate the endangerment finding, to eliminate greenhouse gas standards, all the regulations that came out, including the electric vehicle mandates.
At Tuesday's event, the president of the Indiana Trucking Association said EV mandates were an economic burden on the trucking industry.
That mandate forced a single, unproven technology onto an extremely complex and varied industry where one size does not fit all.
Tell the folks in Kokomo that, who are looking at 2 massive new battery plants that are supposed to be coming online in their community.
Democrats criticized the rollback, pointing to a decision by the United States Supreme Court in 2007 that gave the EPA the authority to regulate greenhouse gas emissions as air pollutants.
Doing away with regulations designed to protect our communities and that also, as a result, help us grow our economy is absolutely burying someone's head in the ground, denying the reality, and passing policies based on partisan rhetoric.
Environmental groups characterized Tuesday's announcement as a step backward for public health and environmental protection in Indiana and across the country. Americans will get a chance to weigh in on the proposal. The EPA announced it will hold a period of public comment about the rollbacks. In Indianapolis, Emily Longnecker, 13 News.
Meantime, as the Trump administration continues its enforcement efforts against illegal immigration, we're getting a clearer picture of what that looks like here in Indiana. Emily took a look at the numbers.
In just the past 6 months, ICE has arrested close to 1,400 people suspected of being in Indiana illegally. That's an 80% increase in arrests from the same time period last year. That's all according to data collected from the Deportation Data Project, after the group submitted Freedom of Information requests to U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement. That same data showed that of the just over 300 arrests made in June this year alone, 55 of those arrested had no criminal charges or convictions.
Of this year, we've seen just a sense of urgency to detain and arrest and remove people at any cost.
Wendy Catalan-Ruano volunteers with the Indiana Undocumented Youth Alliance and helps support people whose family members have been detained.
Our governor and our politicians are saying, no, we're only going after people with serious crimes. We're only going after people that are committing crimes.
But Catalan-Ruano says that's not always what she's seeing.
We have seen that a lot of our community members have driver's licenses, they have work permits, and they're being pulled over either way, and then ICE is being notified of them driving, of them not being citizens or having legal status, and then they become apprehended by ICE.
And Governor Mike Braun was asked about people being detained who didn't have criminal records.
Here in our state, we're going to do what I said I'd do from the get-go, the worst first, and going after ones that broke the law once they came into the country illegally, and that's to the extent I'm going to be willing to help.
In January, Governor Braun issued an executive order directing all Hoosier law enforcement agencies to fully cooperate with ICE and sign agreements to help them with certain immigration enforcement duties. According to data from ICE, close to 400 law enforcement agencies across the country have signed such agreements. 4 of them are in Indiana. Hamilton, Noble, and Jasper County Sheriff's Departments have all signed agreements with ICE, along with the Green Forks Police Department. A spokesperson for the Hamilton County Sheriff's Department said 5 members of their agency will go through training to be able to identify and start the paperwork for people who are already in jail on criminal charges and are suspected of being here illegally. A spokesperson for the Indiana State Police said they are also planning on signing an agreement to help ICE. For Wendy Catalan-Ruano, she fears with increased arrests, some of the people who end up deported are some of the same people who are already on a path to legal status.
It just contradicts this whole narrative of legal migration.
All at a time with Indiana set to house ICE detainees at Camp Atterbury. Governor Braun telling reporters last week the logistics of that are still being worked out. Emily Longnecker, 13 News.
And we've got more ahead here on Crossroads Politics. A national union push came to Indianapolis this week.
So we're hitting the road. The American labor movement is hitting the road.
The push to unionize one of Indiana's most important grocery chains, certainly one of the biggest. It's next here on Crossroads Politics.
The Cardon Senior Resource Hub, brought to you by Cardon and Associates.
As we age, it can be difficult to stay hydrated and eat well. Nutrition can affect mental and physical health. Dehydration is one of the leading causes of hospitalization in seniors. Here are a few tips. Eat water-dense foods like watermelon and cucumber. Use sticky note reminders. Leave drinks in multiple rooms and incorporate all 5 food groups. For more guidance, visit Cardon Senior Resource Hub at cardon.us.
A child missing for years.
And there's been no sign of it.
A family with no new answers.
Certainly, we've hit a wall.
But now, new video from police.
I'm pretty sure there's something in that car you don't want me to find.
New details about what happened inside this house.
You don't keep kids in a closet. That's not normal.
And a new journey.
Going right through the mountains.
Thousands of miles away. To find out.
Pretty sure that's her.
What really happened.
Hi, Crystal. Is Hayden alive or dead?
Right now, 13 investigates.
Where's Hayden?
Where's Hayden?
Where's Hayden Manis?
That's the question we ask ourselves every day.
You can see our 13 Investigates documentary, What Happened to Hayden, right now on WTHR+.
Welcome back. Kroger employees are asking for more money. Talks for a new contract continue between those workers and the grocery chain. And this week, some of them rallied at an event promoting unions. Emily was there.
So we're hitting the road. The American labor movement is hitting the road.
And Wednesday, that road ran right through Indianapolis.
Y'all ready to fight? Yeah! What happens when we fight? And what we're talking about here is about workers. This is about everyday workers.
One of the country's largest unions, the AFL-CIO, is traveling around the United States on buses promoting organized labor. A Gallup poll last August showed 70% of Americans surveyed support the work of unions. That's the highest approval rating for organized labor in 6 decades.
We're all here because we all agree in the same thing in our heart, that being in a union is better.
Among those at Wednesday's rally, union members representing Kroger employees currently in contract negotiations with the company.
Contract is very important for the Kroger workers. We're going to get a little bit more appreciation if they go through and give us a good contract with good wages and good benefits.
Negotiators say a strike is not imminent.
We are still in active bargaining. The company's still agreeing to meet at the table. So please still shop there. Please still support our members.
Earlier this week, Kroger issued a statement on the negotiation process. It said in part, quote, "We believe that by working together with the union, we can reach an agreement that truly reflects the value of our associates and the communities we're honored to serve." Also at the rally, the union representing federal employees.
As you all know, they took away collective bargaining rights from federal employees.
In March, President Trump signed an executive order that argued for the need to end collective bargaining with federal unions in some federal agencies because of their role in safeguarding national security. Some courts have issued injunctions against the executive order taking effect, but the legal battles over it continue. Earlier this month, members of the House put forward a bill to restore workers' bargaining rights. The bill already has bipartisan support, including from Democratic Congressman Andre Carson, who was also at the rally.
No, as your representative, I will always stand with you. I will always fight with you.
In Indianapolis, Emily Longnecker, 13 News.
And that does it for this week's episode of Crossroads Politics here on WTHR+. For Emily Longnecker and all of us at 13 News, I'm Dustin Grove. Thanks so much for watching. We hope to see you next time.